On some occasions, the regents will ask you to quantify exactly how much energy is released in a particular chemical reaction, in which case here enters way 77. Way 77 involves the use of table I, and table I gives you the heats of reaction. The important thing to note here is that a minus sign indicates that a reaction is exothermic. So, if you ever see a negative delta H value, or the heat of reaction, minus means exothermic. A plus means endothermic, energy is being absorbed. So, let's try some problems that ask you to apply this information. According to table I, which equation represents a change resulted in the greatest quantity of energy released? So use table I, find these equations, and figure out which one of those shows the greatest quantity of energy released. Okay? If you do that, you'll find that the reaction that releases the most energy is going to be the highest value. It's going to be the value that corresponds to the highest number, but is also negative due to energy being released. And you'll find that of all the values, the one that has the highest number is delta H of negative 91.8. Notice that this value corresponds to the maximum amount of energy released because it is the most negative number. So, because this reaction is the most negative compared to the others, it releases the most energy. Which compound is formed from its elements by an exothermic reaction at 298 Kelvin and 101.3 kilopascals? Don't get confused by these values, as all values in table I happen at these conditions: 298 Kelvin and 101.3 kilopascals. To determine if a reaction is exothermic, all we have to do is consult table I and figure out which one of these is a product in those equations and is exothermic, meaning this is a product, one of these is a product, and the delta H value is negative. And you'll find that the only value that corresponds to is answer choice 3. Reference table I shows that the formation of H2O has a delta H value of negative 483.6 kilojoules, which means that this negative sign corresponds to an exothermic reaction. Thus, choice 3 is correct. Okay, so when it comes to way 77, please note that if it asks you to quantify the most exothermic reaction, you must consult table I, look for the negative delta H value. Negative delta H corresponds to an exothermic reaction. The one that's going to release the most energy is going to have the least delta H value because a negative delta H corresponds to an exothermic reaction. Naturally, if a delta H value is plus or positive, it means that reaction is endothermic and energy must be absorbed. So sometimes the regents may ask you about those problems and be ready. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this was helpful.